Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Tech back into the video today, and today we're going to be talking about three players I think the Houston Texans should trade when the new year starts this Wednesday on March 13th for the NFL 2024 season. So I did a similar video to this about 3 weeks ago, and that was me talking about three players I think the Houston Texans should release or cut. And now I'm going to talk about three players I think the Houston Texans should trade, going into the offseason, going into free agency. And these are three players that made a decent impact for the team this past 2023 season. One was a big help when C.J. Stroud couldn't be there for the team. The other was a decent backup wide receiver. And the other had some injury issues, but his contract is the main reason why he's on this list. So let's go over this list of three players that I think the Houston Texans should trade this offseason. So the Texans have $63 million in cap space right now, which is fifth in the NFL. It's like $63.8 million in cap space that they can spend this free agency or this offseason. And there's a lot that can be added in. Look, you're going to have to look at the running back position. If the Texans go after a guy like Saquon Barkley, then it's probably costing you about $12 million a year. There'd be $51 left over after that. There are other guys that on the Texans free agency board, guys that are on the team that were on the team last year that the Texans want to re-sign. Sheldon Rankings, also Blake Cashman. There are other names on the list. Punter Cameron Johnston, and there are other players from other teams that the Texans want to bring in. Now, there are ways for the Texans to clear more cap space in order to clear more cap space. They can make certain moves to clear more cap space so they can spend more money in free agency. And trading these three players would clear about $20 million in cap space, maybe a little bit less than $20 million. And let's go over what these three moves are. So, first player on the list is quarterback Case Keenum. Y'all probably had a good idea when I said this player stepped up big when C.J. Stroud couldn't. But Case Keenum did a great job in that Tennessee Titans game. Now, Cleveland Browns game, on the other hand, he was terrible. He played 2 games with 2 starts in 2023 with a 1-1 record, threw 34 for 53 in his 2 games with a 64.2 completion percentage. He threw 291 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown and 3 interceptions. I love having the hometown kid, with the Texans. Played for the Cougars, so I love having a Cougars guy on the team. But I think Davis Mills, he proved something for the Texans when the Texans played the Cleveland Browns and they benched Case Keenum. And Davis Mills came in and led 2 great drives. I think Davis Mills proved to the Texans he compared to Case Keenum, is the better quarterback. And unless the Texans bring in someone else, he is their backup quarterback. So I don't really see the point of bringing in Case Keenum. If you want to have 3 quarterbacks, I would trade Case Keenum or cut Case Keenum to clear cap space and then draft a quarterback that can maybe give some competition to Davis Mills for a backup job. So that would save you money for sure. But I'd get rid of Case Keenum for sure. And then the second guy on the list is, and I've gone back and forth with potentially happening, but the other guy on this list is Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward played 10 games this past season with the Texans after he signed a 2-year, $13 million deal. He had 1 interception, he had 3 passes deflected with 1 forced fumble, and he had 50 combined tackles, with 33 of those being solo tackles. Now, I think really the only reason why the Texans would consider getting rid of Jimmy Ward is that his injury last season, he's being paid a lot of money, nearly $7 million a year, and the Texans very well might be interested in going after a safety this free agency. I think a guy like Xavier McKinney definitely could be on the list, and other names might be there too for the Texans board to potentially go after a safety to pair with Jalen Petrie. So Jimmy Ward's another guy on my list. And then the final guy on my list is Robert Woods. Robert Woods was signed to a 2-year, $15 million deal last offseason. And Robert Woods played in 14 games with 11 starts for the Texans this past season, so he missed 3 games. He had 75 targets for 40 receptions for 426 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. So he wasn't terrible. He got off to a really good start to start off the year, and then as the season went by, he wasn't, he slowed down. He got off to a great start in the season, though. And then in the postseason, he had 2 receptions for 17 receiving yards, although that's nothing. All right. I want to go over, kind of like final thoughts. I mean, I really think out of these 3 guys, these are guys that are not really tradable. And if you get a deal done with them, I think that you're not gonna get anything special. I think you could get maybe a 6th or 7th round pick for Jimmy Ward. I think you could get a 6th or 7th round pick for Robert Woods. Most likely, I think you're probably going to get a 7th round pick for Robert Woods. Maybe you can get a 7th or a 6th for Jimmy Ward. And then to Case Keenum, I really don't think anybody's going to want to trade for him. So if Case Keenum's walking out the door, I think it's going to be with him, him getting cut. But that's one guy, if I were the Texans this offseason, I would put on the trade block. These are 3 guys I think the Texans should put on the trade block. And that's not me saying these guys are tradable, because these are 3 guys that you're gonna have a hard time getting rid of them. But and if you do agree to deal with someone, you're not gonna get it. You're gonna get a late draft pick, a late draft pick. You might as well just cut them. But these are 3 guys I think the Texans should put on the trade block going into the offseason. This is a video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Go Texans.